I'm trying to see if I guessed in here right now, y'all. Trying to see what's going on. We having some difficulties right now, so I'm trying to fix this. I don't know what's going on, y'all. I'm waiting for my guest to join. Um, I might end the live. I don't know. I'm sending out the link multiple times. Waiting for the guest to join, y'all. Oh, this is crazy. That's why I just use Instagram Live, y'all. Still trying to figure out StreamYard, all these other apps, you know. Hold on, guys. I don't know if I want to end this live or not. I might end it, y'all, because there's a lot going on. First, let me cut my camera. I'm not gonna say. Can you see me? There we go. Can you hear me, Mr. Davis? What's good? What's good? What's good, DMV? We back with another video. We having some difficulties over on this side, but hopefully we get everything worked out and get our guest in here. Let's see. I just got him sitting right there anymore. Hey, how you doing, Mr. Davis?
Hey, hello, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. I'm sorry for the delay and everything going on. I'm trying to get used to using StreamYard more often. I've been so tuned into Instagram Live that I need to
Uh,
try to format up.
no problem, no problem. I see you was having a little technical difficulties, but it's okay. There's no
Yeah,
problem.
tell me what's going on. How you
Hey,
feeling?
I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling okay. Just excited about the grind and the glory. Um, February the 21st at the Care First Arena. Tickets on sale right now. But hey, the main event, uh, Hagerstown, the Blueprint, Glenn Wright, um, Chris Glenn, and the hard hitting Eric Rosado from out of the Dominican Republic. Is the main event is going to be nice.
That's an
I
exciting
mean,
call. Yeah.
this what the city need right here. The city
What
need
what
a fight like this.
what's the one thing you could tell us about the two fighters that you have headlining the event?
Well, I think that you're gonna have a mix of one is a boxer and one's a knockout artist. He had Eric Rosado, 11 knockouts. Chris
Yes.
Chris, the blueprint. He is a technician. He's well rounded in every area of boxing. You know what I mean? He can box
Chris,
you. He can brawl
Chris,
with you.
Chris Glenn's name is somebody that comes across my desk pretty often.
Oh
I've
yeah.
been hearing a lot about Chris Glenn for the past year now. He just been just ascending upward. You know what I mean?
Oh
He
yeah.
doing everything he can to put himself in the right position going forward.
Well, you know, he's coached by two-time world champion Simon Brown.
Okay.
So the IBF two-time champion Simon Brown, an impeccable record himself when he was a fighter, and you know he's representing Hagerstown, he's representing the DMV, so he's gonna bring it.
Yeah,
This is my second time having him on my card.
it's a bit out there. I've been trying to interview Chris for a while now, but you know him being in Hagerstown, I'm actually not driving right now, so me getting all the way to Hagerstown from where I'm at in Temple Hills, I'm down the street from Hillcrest, so
Oh, now
that's a bit of a change for me.
you're gonna have to do one of these type of interviews with him, man. He is you'll be if you look at his record, you know he's I think Glenn is what about. What's the record about? What's Glenn's record? Glenn is
11-0,
he's
right?
undefeated. He's undefeated. He's
Let me
undefeated.
get this wrong. I want to say he's 11-0, if I'm not
Yeah,
wrong.
11-0,
Okay.
undefeated. I mean, when you look at it, man, you can't ask for nothing but two undefeated fighters. Well, not two undefeated fighters, but you got to realize this, man. These guys, Glenn is 9-0 with, and then Rosado is 15-4. Yeah, 9-0, 15-4. But when I say that you're gonna be surprised, I mean the public gonna be surprised when they see this fight. I think this is the one that you want to see. I think that out of most of my main events, they're exciting, but this one right here, get your popcorn early.
Who are some of the other fighters on the undercard?
Co-main event, you have Stephon Hops, the hard-hitting bricklayer. Oh, you like Stephon Hops?
Yeah, I'm actually very invested in Steph's future when it comes to me just trying to highlight, you know, and showcase his talents and what he has going on over there at Coach Andrew Council's Triple Threat Gym. You know?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah.
To be honest, Coach Council was the first person to like really, you know, generally always put arms over my shoulder, like, look, you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah. He got some.
This I would say, but the first boxer that I actually built a relationship with in the DMV is Pat Harris,
Okay.
Coach Bug's son.
Pat, okay. Yeah, you know what? Pat was supposed to be my main event on a couple of cards ago. He was gonna be my main event, but we just couldn't seal the deal. But
I want to go on record to say I hope so, Pat. And if you know you stumble across this interview, man, I just want to see you get back to where I know you can get to. You know what I mean? Like he was just on the TCL not too long ago. I want to say that was 2 years back, and he looked great over there as well. So you know we all know he got a bag full of tricks. So he just gotta put himself back in position to start moving that record forward even more because he's already 20-0. You know what I mean? That's saying a lot right there.
That's a lot, man. That's a lot to get 20-0. That's a lot to get not to get a chance to fight for a world title or interim belt. But I think that Pat, I mean, when matter of fact, it was around like 2 years ago when he was gonna be my main event on one of my cards, but we just couldn't. It was just a lot of just trying to figure out what type of opponent that he would want and what type of opponent that was out there at that time that we just couldn't really get a good opponent for him. But I would have loved for that to happen because 20-0.
I would have just like family for him. I would have loved for him to get the opportunity that Lamont was able to get. But I understand dreams is. But when you look at the amateur career, and I used to always tell Pat this, I'm like, I don't know how often you go back and look at you and Tank's amateur fight, but I always go back and look at that, and I just feel like you had more than what you give yourself credit for at times, and it just when I look at them, I'm like, I see my friend on the same level as them, as far as if he can start putting his passion back out there, and, getting his career on that track.
Well, let me tell you something, man. When I was trying to get Pat on my card, this is when Roach was going for his first belt, and man, my hat go off to Barry. You know what I mean? Barry Hunter. My hat
Yeah.
go off to him because when I went in the gym, I saw Javante Davis, Patrick, Suleiman, Brody, the two brothers from the Allens, Franchon Cruz, and Scooter and Nasheed and Kale Brooks.
Right.
All of them was in there trying to get Roach ready, spawn him. Now I didn't see.
Yeah,
I didn't see Javante and Roach spot, but they were in there because he was trying to get back in shape.
I had Kill Brook in there, Lamont Roach, Kill Brook.
Oh, yeah.
Sound good.
So when I say that they had everyone in there, they had a lot of champions in there. I'm gonna call them champions. They had a lot of champions in there, and Roach did eventually win that fight, which was his first belt. And you know, people don't say that DMV, they don't this, that, the other, but I think that everybody's goal was to help Roach get that belt at that time. And everybody was giving him good work to get ready and prepare for that his first championship. So so when he tell you who was in it, who he sparred with, Patrick's name will come up because he sparred with Patrick as well. Patrick got him ready for that fight as well, along with the rest of those guys. So after I saw that, and I was looking at Barry, I said, Barry, that's a lot of personalities in here. And he just looked and just said, hey, that's what we do.
Whole gym full of personality. I mean, that was actually the first gym I stepped foot in, but it just my first time over there, they have a closed policy of media. You can't just put a camera out recording.
Nah, you ain't doing none of that.
Like that, and you got schedule appointments. You got to do other things, and at the time, with some of the people around that I'm close to, family and other friends and such, they kept on Steph, and it was just like at first it was just a thing where I'm like, and there's no disrespect to you, Steph, you know what I mean, but when I first saw videos and stuff, I'm like, it was his sister sending me the videos and stuff, so I was thinking to myself like, everybody might have a brother or a cousin or somebody that they know that fight, so I didn't like immediately, jump on it, you know what I mean? I did think it was impressive watching him, get a knockout how it was, and this was before he went pro. So one of his cousins actually sent me another one of the videos of him later on when he did go pro, and I went ahead and I posted it, and that's when I caught his attention. But I had already asked a couple months back, how would everyone feel if I was a boxing promoter, as far as social media, boxing personality, trying to get in the field of journalism and things of that sort, because I started out with musicians, with all of the rappers around here in the DMV, and that was really where a lot of my passion was. But my father, my grandfather, Dr. Arnold McKnight, he was in the field of boxing as far as him being commissioner at DC boxing at one point before he passed away. So with me knowing that was part of his journey as well, it was something that still resonated back to me. You know what I mean? It was like my father always watching boxing every, Saturday night, Friday night. You know what I mean? Showtime.
So he passed the baton to you.
Right. I would be cool to walk away from something that I'm passionate about it. Everybody that's passionate about boxing doesn't necessarily have to be a fighter in the sport.
That's right. That's right.
Because at one point, I call myself trying to go on like one last run while I was working out with the guys over at Triple Threat and doing things like that, just trying, see, I wanted to feel like some of the pain that they felt, getting ready for their fights and things like that. As far as not the spawn, side of it, but just the conditioning and the working out. I cut my weight all the way down to like 147 at one point, and I almost, killed myself trying to do that. But it just made me feel good.
What your weight is right now?
I'm probably about 165, 170.
I should have asked you that before Thanksgiving, huh?
it take a lot of discipline to stay that small. Like,
Oh
and
yeah,
then you
it takes a lot of discipline, like you said.
and then you gotta understand like the stuff that they eat, and you know, it's like it could be overwhelming if you can't like give it 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You gotta give
That's
it.
right. That's right. You cannot do that.
Boxing is not a sport that you could play with. It's not a sport that you want to joke around with. So if you're not ready to give it your every bit of your heart and some, then it's not the sport for you. And that was one thing that Keith had told me when I was running on the treadmill, because he had noticed that. He was like, "Why you keep stopping? Like throwing me off. You ain't even ran a whole mile and you didn't stop about 3 times." He like, "If you can't finish that whole mile without stopping, like you might want to reconsider." But that was only because I had some outside interferences as well. And that's something that I talked to coach about, where it was just like, you can't let certain things that you have going on. I have kids, so I have 4 daughters. So I do get the stress of their 2 mothers, you know what I mean? So that a bit much at times. So I think it's the realizing at times that, you got something good on your hands. And sometimes people, they don't take it to the next step that they should take it to. You know what I mean? And it's like they'll just sit on something like that, and you'll never know what can come about or what this can evolve into if you don't give it 110%. If you don't keep working at it, you know what I mean? It's just a conversation with one of my closest friends. He just told me, he was like, "I don't understand why you don't want to just get on live more often. It's like you got a fear of being in front of the camera almost, you know what I mean? But it's like you good at it, but then you not." I would prefer to go to the gym and just record the boxes. But as far as me being somebody who can get on like a showbiz or how my mind Mill City Boxing does and just sit there and just talk. At times that's not me. So
well, you know what? You just got to have a comfort level, and that comfort level, I think everybody works on when it comes to speaking in public and speaking to someone you never spoke to before. Is feeling comfortable and talking about what you really want to talk about, and for the public to hear what's being said. So it's a niche for it. You know what I mean? And that niche, is you get better as you grow. So it is what it is.
So the stage fright, it isn't like a bad thing. It isn't like a different that I should basically be discouraged or anything. It's something that people just go through, right?
Oh yeah, man. Let me tell you something. I try to critique myself. That's we keep on saying you know what I mean? I try to say less of you know what I mean? So I try to critique myself after every interview and try to be better than the last one.
One thing I noticed, where if I had to critique myself, at times I find myself like rambling. Well, it's not really rambling because I'm trying to, but I go into detail, and then you got to know when to stop. You know what I mean? When to start again. When to let complete their full sentence without cutting them off. Things that sort of things that I'm still learning that I need to work on and get on.
But look, the grind and the glory is a bomb burner. Get your tickets. People have to get their tickets. On the card, you have the Stephon Hops. Out of the gym that you love, you have the Keith Saunders. You have Day Day. Day Day.
This is pro debut. Pro debut.
Pro debut. Is this pro debut? Yep. Day Day Whitmire. He's going to be on the card. You have Crisanto from out of Wardog. That's my Latino. He's going to be on the card. He's representing all the Latinos in the DMV. You have from out of Southern Maryland, you have Teddy P, Tremaine Fuller. And then a new person I never had on my card. And we hooked up, and it's exciting to have him on, Eric Veazey.
Okay.
So I'm bringing a little flavor to this whole card.
How often do you bring women boxers onto your cards?
Well, you know what? I have had my first woman fighter, and that was KC. She just lost it live a couple of weeks ago. Casey Wheeler from out of
I know. What's the name of the gym?
Casey Wheeler.
And what gym does she box out of?
She boxed out of the gym out in Virginia, with Jeffrey Yu and Tabish. Tabish
Okay.
is gonna also be on my card as well.
How familiar are you with the Upton gym out there in Baltimore?
You know what? I've been out to is that the one with Calvin and Matt?
Yeah, Calvin and Kenny.
Yeah, I've been out there before. I talked to Calvin trying to get some fighters on my card
Yeah, because
before.
there's a young lady out there named Tiara Skinner who's actually been looking for a pro debut, you know, a fight like a opponent for a pro debut. It's been hard for her because she's so small. You know what I mean? She's fighting at like I want to say anywhere from 105 to 112. So
Okay, okay.
that's very small.
Yeah, she needs to reach
Her.
out to me. We said
Okay.
I have one of the best matchmakers in the country, man, Brian Dillon. Brian is one of the best matchmakers in the country. So if it's a lightweight that she's looking for, and we can match her up, and she'd love to be on Davis Boxing Promotion for her debut, you know, we'd love to. I love to bring her out.
I would love to see a Teresia Douglas get back on the card, Lady Tiger. I would like to see her get back out there as well. Like,
man, you know what? When it was my first time having, when it was my first time with a female fighter, I didn't know what to expect, but the public loved it. The public loved Casey Willard. She's an exciting fighter. Um, she probably gets you out of in the first round or the second round, and she had a tough fight over at Live. Tough competitor. Her opponent was tough, and you know, she got back up, and she gonna learn from her mistakes, and she gonna get better. But
I've been involved in the sport of boxing.
you know what? I always been around boxing. I've been around boxing for probably like 20 years. My first job was trying to get a job with Don King, and that didn't work. That didn't work. And
Nothing beats a try.
And then you know, I was trying to get a job with some of the local promoters, but they was always slamming the door in my face. So what I always did was, when I first started, I was doing a lot of comedy shows.
Okay.
Talent showcases. I always wanted to do promotions, but I always, you know, my dream was to do boxing. So right. when I said one day that, you know, when I'm in position, I'm gonna come up and I'm gonna do some boxing.
Go for it.
So what happened was in 22, I did my first match in 22
years old.
And so since 22, I'm probably the most busiest promoter in the DMV.
That's a lot of time in the business.
So yeah, I'm probably the most busiest promoter and the fastest growing promoter.
I've only heard of you and one other person out here in this area that, you know, that actually puts on cards. I'm not gonna name the person.
Yeah, but you know, it's like that. It's like, you know, we trying to.
Is there any cohesiveness with you and the other promoters?
I'm trying.
Or is it more like a competitive thing? And it's like
I'm trying to reach out to them. There's only 3 promoters in this area, and I'm trying to reach out to them to let them know that, hey, we need to be on the same page, because
it can make it.
Yeah, it makes it better for everyone. But you know, there's a lot of personalities. I speak with both of them, but you know, I'm always initiating the conversation.
Right.
So you know,
as well on, you know, my part, where I kind of like I'm not gonna say I disconnected myself, but I kind of had to take a step back, because it's like I don't, you know, a lot of people, they send me flyers or just different things, or just invite me out to events, and it's like soon as I say anything about covering the event and like promoting and interviewing people and doing stuff and trying to get, you know, some kind of, you know, fee, then it's like, oh, I don't want to do it. You know what I mean? If I gotta pay this guy, but like, this is my livelihood. This is, you know, literally my bread and my butter. So it's like, if I'm,
but you know what? A lot of times they don't understand that you are impartial, that you don't favor anyone. You're doing your job, and a lot of promoters, I noticed it around here. A lot of promoters, you know, you were with me or you're not with me, and that shouldn't be that way.
It shouldn't be that way at all.
Yeah,
And then
it shouldn't be that way.
it's like if you don't like follow through and like do exactly what they want it is to do to you, then them to do they want you to do for them, then it's like I'm a blackball this guy, or I don't really want to deal with him, or I don't know if I'm gonna invite him back out to my event or anything of that sort. And I'm like, hey, I didn't build those followers up just so I can be, you know, a guinea pig. I'm not going to just be there to be, oh, do this, do that, do this, do that, do this. Like, I don't work for anybody. You know what I mean? I would feel
That's
like
right.
understand. Right. And just as much as I can come cover fights in the DMV, I can also go to Philly. I can also go to New York. I can also move around and do other things. So it shouldn't be a thing where it's like, you know what I mean? Like the
you know, as a
promoters
promoter,
don't
man,
out to the social media promoters. We all got to work in a cohesive, you know what I mean? We can help each other.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. I go out to all the promotions out here, and I go there, and you know, I always, you know, go to that promoter and say, hey man, nice show, this, that, the other, da 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 da. And I talk to them and everything. So I always reach out to them and just let them know, man, I support it. I know what you're going through. I know what you're going through. I know what you're doing. And you know, I always give them an invitation out to my cards as well. I have an open invitation to the promoters in this area. And um, you know, I think I have a good relationship with both of them. But you know, it's just one of those things where, you know, I think they know that I'm sincere. If they don't know that I'm sincere, I try to let them know that, hey, I don't want to clash with you. I don't want to have a date on the same date as my date. So, you know, it's best we talk and communicate, because, you know, we want to make sure that, you know, that we're not
stepping on each other,
jeopardizing our promotion or your promotion
right.
in any facet. You know what I mean?
That's real. That's real.
But like I said, man, it's gonna be an exciting card, man. It's gonna be an exciting card.
What's been your biggest venue that you've hosted so far?
Well, the arena, the Care First Arena, where it's currently going to be at. That's my largest arena. It holds 4,200 people. It's where the Mystics in the Go-Go play at. The minor league.
That's over there by Congress High Station.
St. E. Right over in St. E.
Hey, that's perfect.
So that's the largest venue. But I have some summer venues that I'm gonna do this summer that's larger than that.
Okay.
I have some ones that I'm gonna do this summer. I can't tell you right now, but I got some summer events that's gonna blow their mind.
Hey, have you thought about having some of the fighters on your cards, like do meet and greets and you know, signings and things of that sort?
You know,
so we go back to the era of having the Polaroid out and getting hard photos.
You know what? A lot of times, when you're throwing local cards like mine, I'm probably the only promoter that invite the media out for any type of thing that we're doing. Like, I think for this one right now, we're gonna do a presser with all of the media, but it's gonna be online.
Okay.
It's gonna be online, so you get a chance to ask questions to some of the fighters, the questions that y'all are looking for.
Okay.
It's gonna be closer to the week, probably the week of the match, for February 21st. So we're working on some things that we're going to try to invite the media out so they can get a chance to get to know the fighters that's going to be on the card. Other than that, have you ever been to any of my matches? Oh, you got to go to my match.
I'm gonna be honest. I've been to, the whole time I've been covering boxing, I've only been to. I went to two. I went to Greg Outlaw had a card where he had Stefan up at Bowie.
Okay.
And Bowie University. And when I went to the live casino, Jeter Promotions had a card that had what made me go to that card? Sheed and Scooter was on that card.
Okay, you got to come out to one of my cards.
You come out to coming up. That would
Yeah,
be
you
like
got to come out, man. When you come out to my card, then you can kind of like see what we do.
right.
Uh, but most of my cards is a nice crowd. If you have never been to that arena, you will fall in love with just the arena because it's nice, it's spacey, food, drinks, the whole ambiance of the arena is a win-win. It's a
Who are
win-win.
some of your favorite boxers right now coming up in the area, like out of the younger crowd?
I like Scarborough.
Yes.
Scarborough is my guy.
Yeah, he tough.
Scarborough is my guy.
Everybody, he been knocking out everybody. Frank.
Dwayne Holmes is my guy. Any and everyone who has been, any and everyone who has been the main event on my card, they my guys. Short
Right.
Dog, my guy. Uh, um, Hutchison is my guy. Hutchison, um, he he's back. I'm trying to see what he's going at with his career. He signed a deal with Jetta, and Jetta probably going to keep him busy. So he'll probably get back on the right track, hopefully, and keep it moving. But anybody who have been a main event on my card, they're my guys because I felt like that if you're gonna be a main event on my card, you're worthy of it.
Right.
I always try to have guys that have fought on my card before to at one time be a main event on my card. So we grow together. And
I was gonna ask you. So how tuned in are you to some of the surrounding areas? Like Philadelphia is big on boxing as well. New York has a good upbringing right there with boxing. Philadelphia is similar to us though, as far as them having a lot of homegrown talent. Like, is that a place you maybe think about grabbing a fighter here and there, or you just want to focus on just this area, DC, Maryland?
right now, as far as fighters in the DMV, I focus on the fighters in the DMV. I really haven't reached out to any other state or area. Um, I, I'm open to have anyone. I'm open to sign anyone um, to a promotional contract when it comes to fighters that I feel that will go to the next level. But my focus mainly is on the DMV right now. I'm really starting to get out now. I'm really starting to get out. Like this week, I really was supposed to be at the Nationals, just trying to see some of the up and coming amateurs that's ready to go.
Right.
And I didn't get a chance to go, but next year that's gonna be my goal is to go more outside of the area and to build my stable up. I was listening to Oscar talk on his clapback, and he said something that made me say I have to really grow my stable. Oscar said that he has 35 fighters in his stable.
Yeah.
And he was just saying that what they're trying to do far as TKO and the Zuffa stuff. He was talking about that, and I was listening to it, and what he was saying was making sense. But when he was talking about they talking about having like 200 fighters in their league, how are you going to promote 200 fighters if you seriously, are you going, Oscar was saying that how they going to treat them like the UFC, but when you look at the UFC, you see how many fighters that really came out of there. Not too many. And a lot of them was, they built the UFC up, but it really was to the promoters' benefit, not the fighters. And that's one thing you don't want to do. You want to see that fighter reach his potential, and you want to help that fighter become a 1%er. What I mean by 1%er is a champion.
Dana White could have did so much more with what he already had going on versus trying to find himself over here in the boxing world where it's like he's not good for that. He's not. Stay where you at, bro.
I don't think. I think they trying to reform the Muhammad Ali Act, and it don't benefit the fighters. And I feel like that you know, you have too many fighters that have been in the game that walked out of the game with nothing but, you know, scar wounds that would never heal, but never got the correct dollar that they were supposed to get in the game. You know, I always tell people, hey man, when you become a champion, you become a 1%, and that's no matter if you have an interim belt or a world belt. You're a 1%. One time I looked up and see how many professional fighters they have here in the United States of America, and you know what the number was?
Let me know.
It was 3,000. It was 3,600 professional fighters in America. Can you imagine how many in Mexico? You know, the Middle East,
That just lets
Asia.
you how blessed and how talented the good small handful of guys we got out here in the DMV really truly are. Like they really.
They 1%. They 1%. If you become a champion, even if you have an interim belt, you're a 1%. You're 1%. There's only 1%. It's like you're a professional football player, a baseball player, hockey player. If you're a professional, if you get a ADO interim belt, if you get a WBC continental or silver or whatever belt, you know you're a 1%, because it's out of so many boxes in each continent, each country, and you become a champion, you're a 1%. And sometimes fighters don't realize that. But I tell them, I say, man, you're a 1%. Well, you know, and I've seen some fighters, they frown on the small belts. I see some promoters frown on the small belt.
On the interim belt.
Hey, the interim belts is just as it plays a significant role.
Shock Foster just did that with the one I want to say that was 135. That fight was at 135 because they pressed it up. But he just did that with the 135 interim belt. He went ahead and vacated it and moved, you know, said I'm going back to 130 because I never wanted that. But see, the thing is, he kind of, you know, had to fight at that weight because Fulton came in 2 pounds overweight.
Yeah, came in too heavy. Yeah.
Right.
You know what, man? Let me tell you something. I think Shockey Foster, he owed Suleiman a rematch. He owed Suleiman a rematch. Suleiman broke his hand in that fight and couldn't finish that fight. But if you was to go to the scoring cards on that fight that he had, that fight he had with Suleiman,
yes,
I think that Suleiman deserved a rematch.
Okay. We definitely gonna
go on. And I'm not saying it because he's a hometown guy. I'm saying it because that was a hell of a fight when both of them fought each other in New York. Right. He went to his town, fought him, and it was a hell of a fight. But Suleiman just couldn't finish that last round. He had to box him that last round. But if you look at that card, Suleiman was in control of that fight.
While we talking about more homegrown, Tyler, what about Dusty Hernandez? Haven't seen Dusty Harrison in a while, as far as on the card and really getting back active. That's another guy I want to see back. The last, like, I know he's fought a lot since then, but the last big fight he was in was against the guy Mike Dallas some years back, and I feel like that kind of, you know, he went through a whole lot since then as well. Rest in peace to his father, Buddy. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I know that was tough on his career as well. So, but
you know what? It's strange you say. It's a strange thing you say something about Dusty. Dusty called me, but I didn't get a chance to call him back.
Okay.
And Dusty called me like I guess a week ago. I think last week he called me, but I didn't get a chance to give him a call back. And Dusty called me, and we were going to try to do something, but the numbers wasn't right. But another person undefeated. Another person that's undefeated, has a large following in the DMV. Probably is at that crossroad where he's getting older, not younger. Where you would love to see if he had what it takes in order to take that thing and get that belt. You know what I mean? Because his record as an undefeated, 30-0 or something, 30 or something and 0.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
I,
you got to root for him and want him to get a shot at a belt. You know what I mean?
I think about this recent fight that just passed with Gonzalez versus Laura. And I can't help but feel that should have, that could have easily ended up being Jared Swift Hurd versus Laura. Hurd Laura too would have been nice to see. So
You know what? You know what? I still thought that Hurd had a lot of life still left in him.
I do too.
I just think that when you start to change trainers and camps and this and that and the other, sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. But sometimes you have to go with what's working.
Right.
And when he made changes, I don't think that he tried to go back what was working before he said that, hey, it's it for me.
You think he should have stayed over there at Hillcrest?
I think that he should have worked it out between him and the trainer.
Him and Nestor.
Yeah, I think they should have worked it out or came to to some talks to get it back on the right track. But when it comes to the business aspect of it, nobody don't want to be shortened, and nobody don't want to take less than what they think they deserve to get. So
that's right.
when it comes to Jared Hurd, what is it, 2-time world champion?
Mm-hmm. No, three belt unified champion.
3 belts. Okay, 3-time world champion. Your hat goes off to him. You know what I mean? He's one of our champions in the DMV. So we always want to root for him.
One of the few guys that got up to that point. I let him know. Because that's actually a good friend of mine. I had to let him know that because I interviewed Julian Williams the exact day right after I interviewed him. So I had to let him know, like, don't take this personal, man.
Oh yeah, man. Let me tell you something, man. Jerry Hurd, man, he represented the city, quite well. You know what I mean?
Good dude. Good dude.
It's just that, I just didn't want to. I didn't want him to retire unless him and his old trainer Ernesto got back together and tried it one more time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just to see if something's still there.
Yeah, you know what I mean? They always say if the record ain't broke or scratched, keep playing it. And they just I guess they couldn't.
Ernesto was with another true champion right now with WBC champion Tierra Brown.
Oh yeah, Tierra's been around for quite a while, and she deserved to get whatever she getting right now. Honestly, I met her every time I met her. It's always been pleasant. She has a beautiful personality, and she represents the DMV as well. Even though she's from Florida, I believe, but we claim her.
Yeah, love her daily out here.
Yeah, we claim her.
Well, when you think about Amanda Serrano and knowing that could be her toughest task, and in her road to becoming undisputed, how do you feel when a lot of people wrote her off against Scott Nicholson? And I cast out good for that fight, but it was just like people. It's like nowadays you see so many casuals that won't know about a boxer, and instead of doing their research, they just write the person off, and that was a big surprise on the boxing world. But the people who knew. They knew Tierra was going to go in there and dominate, and that's exactly what she did. So, do you think a fight with her and Amanda Serrano would be exciting, or is that not something that she really needs for a career?
I think that it will be exciting. I think she needs that for her career. She's not the younger fighter anymore. I believe that you want to fight the best, and the best is her. I mean, that fight take place. Believe me, I think that it'll be a nice. It'll probably be a sellout pay-per-view.
Already see the promotion for that, like.
Oh yeah, it's pay-per-view sellout. It's one of those things where you just get your popcorn early. You know what I mean? Get your popcorn early.
How do you feel about Franchon getting that rematch?
Um,
Franchon getting that rematch.
I saw it coming. I knew that she was gonna get a rematch. I think that I think that when you friends with someone, like I think that her and Clarissa are friends.
I think Clarissa sees her as a bigger sister. That's what I
Yeah.
feel.
Well, you know what? That's what Franchon gonna have to do is to let them know this is business, and I want what you have.
Right. It can't be
And
a thing. I'm going in there to lay down for you.
yeah,
Not that
yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like she's going to do that,
You know,
but
they starting to mix it up a little bit in social media right now.
they're getting a little bit more chippy than they usually do. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
because they usually
but
feel
that's
like
what's
go
needed.
jack each other, and it just it wouldn't be nothing major. It'd be like what I'm saying, just girls playing with each other. Kiki type of. You know what I mean? But it's like the closer they get towards that fight. Is the clothes is coming out now. Now they throwing the undercuts. they going at each other crazy now a little more.
Yeah, yeah.
More like
They making
pushback.
it interesting.
Yeah,
They
because
building it up. They building it up.
with Cruz Design, she doesn't really push back a whole lot as far as like talking too slick to Carissa, but she not going to just let her just keep mouthing off. Even not saying that that's what Carissa's doing, but Clarissa going to pop her stuff. So I feel as though that's the same thing that Franchon going to do as well. So it's just going to be interesting to see them two go at it. But a lot of people, I feel like they wanted the Sedation fight. But they need to sit and wait on that because at the end of the day, and I asked Shadesha how she felt about a rematch when I interviewed Shadesha, to see if she wanted to rematch Franchon, you know what I mean? Not that I'm gonna be the one to make the deal, but just to see if she wanted to put that in the universe, you know what I mean?
You know
And
what? You know, like you were saying about women boxing. You know, that's a hard lane right there, and they don't get the credit that is due.
they don't. They don't.
Um, they don't get the credit that is due, and you know, Clarissa and and uh, and uh, and
Franchon,
Franchon. Only thing I would have for only thing if I was Clarissa's management, I would have fought for a more neutral place to have it at.
right.
You know what I mean?
So
It's
where's the fight taking place?
it's gonna be in I think Detroit.
Okay.
It's gonna be in her backyard.
Yeah, that's
You know what I mean? So I would have fought for a more neutral place, but they probably looking at attendance and counting every dollar. Um, I don't know if Clarissa has a strong fan base here or Baltimore, where they come out in droves like they do for Clarissa. I mean, like they do for Clarissa. But it would have been nice if she could have not went in her backyard, fight in her backyard.
right.
I think if I was her management, I would have fought for a more neutral place.
Okay.
You know
Do
what
you
I mean?
feel when it comes to the presses that they are gonna have a presser here in the
I'm
DMV?
sure. I mean, two undisputed. Oh yeah, I'm sure. Two undisputed women champions. It's gonna be a big fight.
They gotta build it up right.
Yeah, they got to build it up right. You know,
I mean,
if
how do you feel about the fact, because I thought from what Clarissa the hints that she was throwing, I thought she, because I actually had the live where she had said this she was gonna go down, she said she was gonna come down to super middleweight because I was telling her why not light heavyweight, you know what I mean? You conquer that division and whatever.
man, you gonna go where the money at. Wherever Clarissa is at, you gonna go where the money at.
Yeah, you gotta go with the money at. But in surprise fashion for her to move up, Cruz Design, she going after, she going after heavyweight. So it's just, I feel like this
She
is
just got
what
to condition herself. She just
I
got to
feel like
condition herself.
keep on that because Franchon is naturally a bigger girl. I feel like she's naturally a bigger girl. So her at heavyweight might be even more dangerous.
You know what? It's gonna be a good fight. Um, it's gonna be a good fight. That's all I can say. It's gonna be a good fight. I just think that she should have tried to get a more neutral venue to fight at.
What if you was promoting, which venue would you go with? Like, would you say New York would have been better? Like Barclays? Like, was that maybe that's too big? That's not too big. We talking about two of the women's faces of boxing. It's only about 5 of them, like in total, that really got their attention and the media behind them.
Well, I would have probably tried to get on that undercard with Jake Paul. I would have tried to get on that undercard and have that fight. It's enough money to go around on that card right there. I would have tried to get on the undercard, but me carrying that whole card, I think that if it's going to be in another state, you got to have it where it's more than just that fight.
Mm-hmm.
And what's wrong being on the Jake Paul card when you're going to get millions of dollars?
No, that's real. I feel like if Clarissa really, she could have did it like, there's so many ways she could have went about this, because if she did go down to face Franchon for her 2 belts down there, if she would have been successful, either one of them been successful, it actually would have been a big undisputed match with the winner for Shadeja Green, if they would have stayed at that weight class. So that's the thing about that fight, being at that weight, you know what I mean? Now that it's up at heavyweight, it's like Clarissa more so demanding them, like, nah, y'all come to me. I ain't gotta come down to y'all.
She don't. I mean, honestly, when you really look at it, she gonna go down. She gonna go down in history as the GOAT, like she says. Yeah, she's gonna go down in history. And anytime you went to the Olympics twice, won gold, come back out, then fought everyone in your weight, cleaning out weight divisions. I mean,
and on to beat the girl that with the Savannah.
She gonna go down as the greatest. She will go down as the greatest. Now the person who beat her. I said the person that will beat her if she continues, or if there ever will be a person who beat her, then that's gonna be the Buster Douglas story.
Oh yeah, that's. Do you feel as though it's another female out here that excites you the same way that you would see from her? Like maybe some of the women in the lower weight classes, maybe like Alicia Baumgardner.
Yeah, I feel like all of the women in that championship excites me because they're doing it at a high level. They're beating the best of the best in their weight division, and we just don't see them as much.
Right.
You know what I mean? They don't have the visibility that the guys have. But any of the women that are champions, 1%ers. 1%ers.
So it's even, of course, even less women in the sport than men, of course. You know what I mean? So I can't understand, where Miss Skinner was saying to her, basically saying that it's hard for her to find an opponent. I would believe it, especially if depending on how far out they're looking. You know what I mean?
Well, they looking in the States, but there's a lot of women in other countries that are willing to fight her. And there's a lot of women in like Nigeria or Ghana.
Basically, you ain't looking hard enough. I understand.
Yeah. There's a lot, and believe me, they got a lot more because they fighting not, to become a champion. They fighting for their family.
And they
when you go to them countries like that.
And I'm not saying that Americans are not fighting for their country, but we're a bit more privileged. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're a little bit more spoiled.
Right.
They're fighting for food on the table.
Other places, that's why you see so many now. Even at one point when it came to the international games, where Team USA had to kind of form the Avengers again because it was looking bad for them. You know what I mean?
What? It's an embarrassment. Honestly, the USA is an embarrassment. As far as not even get medal out, not even to get a medal. It's an embarrassment. They get
how was the boxing side of things? How did you feel about that? I know they had who was that?
Harvey.
Yeah.
Well, he represented the area, but in hold, it was an embarrassment. They need, how it is when a coach or a team don't have a winning season and how they have to make changes in
Yes.
football or basketball or any other sport.
Yeah,
They're
Reg.
gonna they're gonna fire the team, the coach and his team, and they're gonna start all over. And that's what the USA Boxing have to do. They have to make some changes because that's an embarrassment that the United States didn't medal out. And a lot of times it's politics. The right fighters didn't go.
Right.
It's
Who
politics.
if you could have readjusted that team, is there anybody that stands out to you enough that you would have wanted to add to that roster that they had?
You know what? I didn't follow the USA boxing. I didn't follow. I only followed the ones that they picked to go to the game. But it was not those. It was the ones they didn't pick.
Right.
It was the ones.
For some reason I thought that was the route that Keith was going to take. I didn't think Keith was going to go pro because I had kept asking him. I was kind of like, nitpicking at him like, when you going pro, bro? When you going pro? You know what I mean? Like, in
You know
time.
what? It's politics. It's politics in that USA thing. It's a lot of politics. Look at, for example, Nasheed. Nasheed was number one in all of the different categories in the USA trajectory. He was number one, and they didn't pick him. You know what I mean? So you got to realize that. You got to realize that it will frustrate a young athlete. Why stay here and try to become a world, gold medalist when I can go pro and provide for my family and so forth. So that's one thing I learned, like when getting into the game. When a lot of times I get a lot of older guys teaching me and helping me with their philosophy and why, and I was like, yeah. And I remember I was talking to Juice. And Juice was saying that, Nasheed was a world, national champion. He was a USA, this, that, the other. And, even though he had all the accolades, he should have been on that Olympic team. And, he was shut down, didn't even get a chance. And it was politics. They know who they want to go, but it's not because of you the best athlete, you the best boxer. No,
Right.
you know what I mean? So that's why we got the results we got, is because they chose politics and not skills.
Right. So let me ask you. So when you do, so when you go pro, there's no way at all that you can go back towards any USA fighting or talk to
It's
me.
not basketball.
So it's not like that.
It's not basketball like how they do basketball now.
And I know
Where
that was
you
a
can
rookie
play in the
question.
G League and then go back and play college and this and that and the other. Nah, man. Once you turn pro, that's it.
That's it.
That's
Whatever
it.
happened to it was a guy who was actually in the Olympics multiple times. Cam Awesome.
I don't know. I don't know. Have you looked him up on BoxRec and see what happened when he turned pro? You got
I
to look
ain't
him up on BoxRec.
even turned pro. I kind of I found out about him, Clarissa, and Shakur Stevenson all at the same time when I watched the documentary back when I was they were young. I know they were very young.
I don't know. I don't know what happened to him. Sometimes, man, you gotta be. Sometimes people just say, "Hey, I'm done with boxing." You know what I mean? A lot of times, them fighters when they didn't put their blood, sweat, and tears in it, and it's not going in the right direction, you get at that crossroad and you say, "Hey, I'm done."
What about the guys that don't want to walk away from the sport? I mean, you got guys like Dirk Chisora. I mean, I feel like Dirk Chisora should have walked away a long time ago. I mean, here it is. He's still trying to,
Hey man, hey man. Sometimes you have to reinvent yourself. Let's say you that fighter that. Let's say you that fighter that you didn't. You feel like you've gone to the the highest you're gonna go, the furthest you're gonna go. You might have to reinvent yourself. You might have to be like a Buddy McGirt, where you go into training and be the best at that and still make the type of money you would have made as a champion and fighting.
doing, going to different gyms and helping other fighters out.
Yeah. You start managing other fighters, or you have other fighters in your stable where you become that world champion trainer. So, sometimes you just have to reinvent yourself. Let me tell you something, man. Um, I'm so I'm so down far on the post on where I want to be at, where I'm trying to get here, get here, get here, and you develop every year. It's like I'm developing every year. I'm developing, but I'm so far down here that I'm making steps, but I'm not where I want to be at. You know what I mean? And sometimes you just got to keep on pushing. You still got to keep on writing things out how you want it to be. Let me tell you something. Um, Tremaine Fuller, Teddy P gonna be on my card.
Okay.
Uh, he is a aeronautic engineer. He work on planes,
Mm.
and he lost in one of his fights. I think his second or third fight he lost, and he had to get back up, and he had to say, "Hey, do I want to quit, or am I still following my dreams?" And he's still following his dreams. And sometimes, you go through that adversity where you don't think that things is going the way you want to go, but if it's your dream and what God is allowing you to do, you keep doing it until you know when it's time to quit. So it's just one of those situations. And let me tell you something, man. When this car right here, the grind to the glory, I got a lot of guys that want to go to that next level, like the main event. Both of those guys want to go to the next level, and somebody got to be the gatekeeper. This is
Right.
one of those fights right here. Eric Rosado, 11 knockouts. Chris Glenn, undefeated. This one of those ones where, one day Chris was talking and we was talking, and I said, man, he said, which direction you think I should be going at? I say, you got to look at the top 15, and you got to start fighting some of them people that they fought in order to be mentioned why I don't deserve to be in the top 15. So Eric fought somebody that was in the top 15 his last fight, and Chris said, "Well, hey, in order for me to get mentioned or for them to start looking at me in the top 15, I got to start knocking off some of these guys right here." So all of these guys are at a crossroad. All of these guys are at a crossroad. So this fight right here, this is that one where it's gonna be it's gonna be an impactful fight.
Would you feel that some of the guys in the area could be lining themselves up for a pretty good hometown showdown?
That's the hardest thing to do is to match guys up in the city with each other. All
Yeah,
of them,
people look at me crazy when I'm always on that too hard. I feel like, and it's like it's never. And when I say these things, it's never because it started out with when I first mentioned Trayvon Marshall and Jaleel Hackett together. I just thought that was fireworks waiting to happen. And I offended a lot of people when I put them two names against each other like that. I know Jaleel. He started out over there. At one point, he was with Coach Council. So it looked like I targeted him by saying that, but in reality, I just went on Box Rec and I'm looking at their names and I'm like, y'all really, literally right here beside each other. And I just thought at that time period, because they both was at 147, I thought it would be an interesting match.
well, you know what? A lot of times when you ask fighters to fight each other, that's in the area, they don't want to do it. They always going to tell you, hey, the money ain't right, or we'll fight each other when we get to another level. And you got to respect that. But a lot of times, there's a lot of other fights that they can fight before they fight them. It's nice that we were one it because
We
we familiar
watching.
with the fighters. Yeah, we won it, but does it make business sense? Uh,
I
I
know.
don't. I Does it make business sense? It makes business sense for the promoter, but not the fighters.
Okay.
Honestly, Because look at for example, Mekhi Phillips and Scooter Davis.
Mm-hmm.
They fought as amateurs before they both turned pro. But what I want to see them fight right now,
that's just
I think it would have to be on a larger scale.
Zaquan Moses. They tried to bring Zaquan's name up that was kind of on Zaquan for calling them out like that, but still with Zaquan Moses and Scooter Davis, you know, they brought them up, and even through Camille Moten and Abdullah Mason, y'all got to separate Abdullah from the other three, and that's no disrespect to the other three. You know what I mean? I much love and respect for Scooter. That's one of my favorites, but Abdullah Mason right now, I just think it's a gap, and I just feel like Abdullah sent a different route.
Hey, Abdullah Mason got to watch out for that check hook. He got to watch out for that check hook.
You think right now, and I'm not going against it, but you think right now you would put Scooter up against Abdullah right now?
Hey, look. That fight he was in down in was it Virginia?
Which
when the Jew caught him 2 times with that check hook.
It was a minute. I'm trying to think. Yeah, that was Norfolk when he was on. Yeah, that was.
Let me tell you something. When you think that, you know, is a gimme fight, and you see something like that, he you know, it showed he got back up and he took care of business. But right. You know, this is a sport of boxing. Anybody could get clipped.
No, that's real.
Anybody could get clipped.
The type of stuff Scooter throwing out there, you get clipped with one of them, you might not get back up. So that's
look. Scooter, Mekhi Phillips, Jaleel Hackett, man, we rooting for them. We rooting for them because they from the DMV. We rooting for them. We rooting for everyone that's from here. Cruz, her. We rooting for her. We rooting for anyone that's from the DMV. We rooting for them. Now, will all of them win? We don't know until we see them fight. We got to figure it out. But the up and coming fighters that we see right now, a lot of people don't say Fuller, Irvin Fuller. He was one of my main events.
Okay.
You know, we rooting for him. You know, we rooting for Scarborough. We rooting for all of these guys that we see that's up and coming. We rooting for them. But we have to see. We have to find out. You know, are they him? You know what I mean? So you know, it's one of those things, man. This is a tough sport right here. I just know there's something in the water around here, though.
For
all the cities.
I was just saying that the same thing when you look at PG when it comes to the basketball scene. I mean, it's like, at one point, think about it. You had Kevin Durant, you had Victor Oladipo, you had Markelle Fultz. I mean, it was just so many people who was coming into the league from Maryland. You know what I mean? And then when you think about boxing, it's so much talent in this DMV scene just alone. Like, you can throw these whole exciting cards with just DMV guys and pull a bunch of, you know, you can pull guys from out of town and stuff just to spice the card up. But for the most part, you're expecting 6-7 guys from the DMV to just clean house.
Yeah. You know what? It's something about this area where we produce athletes. And no matter what sport it's in, we're going to produce some athletes. You know, I've been locked in. Lately, I've been locked in with Maryland University, Coach Locks. You know what I mean? Southeast coach. He's from the city. I've been locked in with Maryland University. And then now that the quarterback has said he's going to commit next year with us, with Maryland, Williams. Oh, man, I'm telling you, man, Maryland going to be Maryland next year with the 5 and the 4 stars that they got coming in. You know, give Locks a chance, but believe me, the Maryland Terps football team is going to be on point next year. We started off hot. 4-0, then we hit the wall. But next year with the help is coming, and we got to get behind Coach Locks. We got to really get behind him because anytime you have a coach anytime you have a coach that took a university 3 times to a bowl game and then don't have a good season, they're ready to get rid of them. And we got to really stand behind them because there's a lot of things that's happening as far as with that NIL money and all that, this, that, the other. Maryland basketball team, Georgetown, they doing good. We got a lot of professional and collegiate sports in this area that just give us time in the next 2 or 3 years, even with the Skins. The next 2-3 years, I'm a Skins fan. So Commanders fan. But even with them, man, we just got to get them a little time and a little latitude, and we're going to bring some championships to the city.
No,
I think in the next 1, 2, 3 years.
I feel like, just this area of sports is getting better, but at the same time, in certain fields, because then, when you look over at our basketball teams, it's like we're horrible. You know what I mean? Like you look at the Wizards, we had so many opportunities where we could have had a good core over there and just decided. I don't know what it is with Washington's GM, but it's like they don't never want to make the right decision. I mean, think about just so many players that was kind of like starting downhill a little bit and, like not really moving up the graph is hard. And it was like, we ain't even go after them. I mean, tough guys, like, why go after somebody like Kyle Kuzma when we could have went after somebody like Paul George? I mean, I'm just saying, like, we don't even give ourselves the fighting benefit of the doubt. Like,
I think it's management. I think that owners are always picking weak management.
That plays for New Orleans, the rookie right now, he's getting all the press right now. And we were supposed to have this guy.
Yeah, I think it's management. I think that when it comes to sometimes we don't have a great direction for management. Right. And that's the way it's always been. It's like management, man. The management that we have, let me tell you something. In 23, I did 4 shows in 23. In 24, I only done 1 show. And you know why?
Why?
You know why I only did 1 show in 24?
So you could take a step back to make the next one bigger? Or?
No, it wasn't even that. It was management over at the arena. See, a lot of things happen over at the arena that it was out of my control.
Right.
It was like one of those things where they were going through this thing with Monumental Sports. And Monumental Sports now is in control of who's in and who's out. And you got to go through them to get your dates. And at that time, they just wasn't giving any dates. So I had to sit back and just pedal my thumbs. And it made me take a whole new look at just dealing with the politics of the whole thing.
Right.
So that's what made me do the 1 show in Maryland last year. It's because I was waiting for them when they was just, nope. So eventually, everything was ironed out and they allowed me to come back. But sometimes it's out of your control. And sometimes, you just got to let it take course. This show right here is my first show back at the arena since 23. So, I'm trying to bring out the fireworks for this show. I'm trying to make sure that that the DMV really get treated to a hell of a show. Out of all of the promoters and this, I'm the only one that really gives back to boxing.
Right.
I have given more awards to past fighters and trainers than any other promotion.
And that's a beautiful thing to let the fighters know that they're still, respected and appreciated for everything that they was able to bring to the sport. You know what I mean? Everything that they put their bodies through, that they put their families through. I mean, many nights that you gotta think a lot of these fighters got kids and stuff. Their kids gotta watch them go through these training camps and go through the pain of actually being in a fight. I just feel like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not enough of that in just a full sport though. And it's a blessing that you're doing that, but it needs to be done more on a high scale as well. You know what I mean? Because think about it. I mean, so many of these fighters that gave the sport everything, and at times, do they really even get the proper recognition?
Let me tell you something. In most of my fights, I always give an award to I have given awards to Ham. I've given awards to Mr. Davis. I've given awards to Pepe Carrera and that whole Sugar Ray Leonard corner. I've given awards to probably every older person that's been in the boxing game in the DMV. I have given more awards out to in the DMV to more awards out to guys who have paved the way. So when they come to my show, I'm going to always recognize somebody that contributed to the game, and that's why a lot of boxing guys in this area say that's one thing about Davis. He are going to recognize you. So when it comes to that, man, I always feel like that those guys that paved the way for these guys right now need to be recognized.
Yeah, I feel like even with myself, when I first started covering the sport, I started actually on one of the panels out here, DMV Boxing Legends. I started out over on the panel with Hammett, and that was good. It was good to be on the panel with him. Trying to think who else. JR the Golden Child, Golden Boy, he was on
Okay.
there panels. Bink Bink Boxing was on that panel. It was a couple people on that panel. I want to say Vincent Johnson. He was on that panel. It was a couple people on that panel, and the panel went well. But I just thought to myself when I seen the panel, it just made me think like, if they can do that, why can't I? You know what I'm saying? And just telling myself like I need to believe in what I
Can
got
I tell
going.
you something? Can I
Talk
tell
some.
you something? All them people you just mentioned on the panel,
Mm-hmm.
they got to be at the presses. They got to be at the weigh-ins. They got to publicize the fights that we have here in order to make us grow broader and on a larger scale.
Do you feel
So
like we do more of that? I mean, because whatever, as I'm trying to build this brand up, you know what I mean? I know I went on a little hiatus where I went like that for a while, but as I'm trying to build it and get back to what you guys know me for, I
let
want
me
to be able to do that more often.
let me tell you something. If you was to ask yourself how many weigh-ins have you been to in the last 2 years, and you was to ask everybody that was on the panel, when the last time you've been to a local weigh-in, or not when they get onto a big level, I'm talking about the local promoters like the Jettas, the Ponytails, myself. When we have weigh-ins, do you give us that exposure? Do you give us that? Now, this is my first time interviewing with you, but this right now is my 10th card. And I appreciate the interview because the more voices they hear what we're talking about will broaden what we're trying to do. But I think that even at one of my fights, I honored the people who came before you guys. I honored Juan.
Loose.
I honored Juan, and I honored Digital Williams. I honored Daniel Court.
Mm-hmm.
I honored Wallace Byrne, the ones who you always see their media stuff on, the photography
Mm-hmm.
and the commentators. I honor them as well because everybody have a place and a voice in this boxing thing. And the only way that we can help each other. Can you see me? Can you see me? Can you see me?
Yeah,
Hello?
somebody tried to call my phone and messed up the
Okay.
call.
Well, the only way that we can help each other is we got to support each other. So I'm glad this will be your first time coming out. February the 21st, The Grind and the Glory, featuring Chris Glenn and the hard-hitting Eric Rosado from the DR. You guys get your tickets. It's at Ticketmaster.com. Tickets are on sale. And I appreciate you, DMV Nation TV.
Thank you.
I appreciate all the love you giving us for this promotion and continued support.
Thank you, brother. And hopefully we can do these more often. I look forward to meeting you and covering a lot more of your events. Thank you for this opportunity, brother. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you later.
Peace.
All right, peace now.